Hello, On the Sidelines fans. I'm your host, Cameron Capobianco, and joining me today, one of my favorite goalies from the Toronto FC days of 2018, 2019, 2020, and so on. You know the rest. Quentin Westberg. Quentin, first of all, thank you so much for joining me, and a historic moment as well, as you are the first ever MLS player to appear on this show, so welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So before we get into where you are now at Atlanta United, before we get into the Toronto FC era, just want to start off with going back to your early roots and asking what made Quentin Westberg want to become a professional football player or soccer player, as we call it here in North America.
Uh, Growing up in the Paris area, it's every kid's dream, and I wouldn't even say a dream. It's like a reason to live. You play soccer every recess. You play soccer in the street. That's the way to make friends. That's the way to exist in your community. That's the way to just to have a very active social life. And when you're a kid, you're always pushed and you're always wanting to do these things. So soccer is. I mean, people walk around with soccer balls in their hands, going to school, everything. So it was just naturally that, I just started playing every day. Then you play for a club, and then so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember those days too. Like you mentioned recess, me as a kid too, playing soccer. Either it was like a snow day or something on the pavement. We always get a ball and kick it around, whatever it was. But for you, was it always that you wanted to play goalie, or was there a position that you want to play like striker, midfield, or defender?
No, for me it was always clear. I was a goalkeeper in club soccer, but any other way it was on the field, and it was more up the field. I was always either a number 10 or a striker, or playing anywhere I could, but in goal. From a very early age, I really loved the responsibility of being a goalkeeper. I really loved the position, but it needed to be organized and settled. And I just didn't want to be a keeper anywhere. I was a keeper when we had a jersey, when there was responsibilities, when there was organization, when there was. It was almost like, soccer has always been my go-to sport, but as soon as it became serious, I was a keeper. As soon as it was pick up all over the place, playing on the streets, anywhere else, it's always on the field.
Absolutely. So let's get into your early soccer days back home in France. You played in Liga in France, one of the big five leagues. So for you, what was it like playing not just for your home league in France, especially League One, but also playing in one of the big five leagues? You know, you have the Prem, you have Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, and then of course there's Liga. And so what was that like?
It's when you grow up in France, and you go through the academy system, and you have this path. You don't really think about your league as being a top five league. You just think of the league you're in and the club you play for, like, the target and the goal for you to play. It's more like that. It's not like I was thinking I was playing in a top league, or in a top country. It was just it was a normal progression, I would say, because I grew up in that environment. I left my parents' home when I was 13. So from that age on, I played soccer every day in a professional environment, in a very structured and a very competitive environment also, where every year there were kids that were cut, where, us as teenagers, we grew up in an academy surrounded by 50, 60 of your peers that are competing with you, but also your best friends, and still some of the closest people I have in my life, as of now, 20, 25 years down the road. So yeah, it's a big change, but it's a goal, it's a target over an accomplishment, or even a dream. You need to materialize it with achieving that goal.
So let's jump into the first signing you made in MLS, which was obviously what we're going to talk about now is Toronto FC. What was that initial reaction for you when you signed the contract and came over from France to play, first of all, in Canada for the MLS?
Well, Toronto has had a history of having a few French players, some of them that I knew at the time, I still know. So, plus following MLS and myself being French American, I always had a little eye on how the league was developing, in a few transfer windows. I had some contacts at some points. So I always had, kind of an intrigued look on the league. and I knew how some clubs were standing out, and Toronto being one of them. So when I had the opportunity, I felt it was a great one, both for me, for the playing style that Toronto was trying to play, and also for my family, because it's part of us, it's part of me, North America. I mean, my father's American. North America is part of me, and I wanted to share that with my family also. So I felt it came at that moment where it was relevant for me to sign for an exciting club, for to live in a great city, a great country, and also I had a great conversation and great feel for what the football would look like there, for the playing style, for how I was going to be used, and the goals and targets that were put in place. So it felt like it was the right move.
I just want to stick on what you mentioned, their playing style. When you played in France and also a little bit in Norway as well, did you find that when you first came over here, were there any differences in the playing style between European soccer or football and North American football?
There's so many different playing styles within French teams. I mean, I've played for teams. I grew up coming out of Clairefontaine Academy from 13 to 16, and it's basically all based on technique and taking good care of the ball, and understanding and playing and sharing the ball. It's like the cradle of soccer IQ. And then I was in Troyes, where same thing. It was more technical and tactical than physical traditionally. But then I played for other clubs under other coaches that were way more direct, and also sometimes you need to adapt to the personnel. And in France, there's a whole lot of very athletic players, very direct, very fast, and gifted forwards or even defenders that you have to adapt to. So I mean, not only in France, a little bit in Norway also, but I've been in teams that have played all kinds of different football. And even at that moment, I felt more comfortable in some clubs with some playing styles than others, although within the same league.
Absolutely. So how did this kind of all help prepare you for your first time in the MLS?
Adaptability. I mean, that's, you can't. I've been a professional soccer player, I think, for 18 years now, and it hasn't been in any ways the same path and the same experience going from one club to another, and even sometimes in the same club. Just a change of coach, a change in mentality, a change in ideas, and you need to adapt to enjoy your time, to survive, to do well, to keep going, to keep doing what you love. So adaptability is something you develop over time, and it's a strength of mine to a certain extent, that after a while you understand what environment you are good in and what environments could suit you best, right? So then it's making the right decisions when there's a decision to make. So yes, adaptability, and also the love for the game, understanding that yes, there's a certain way that you enjoy it the most, and you know what, when you enjoy what you do, usually you do well.
Absolutely. So let's just jump into that first MLS run for you, where your first year, funny enough, was Toronto FC going all the way to the MLS Cup Finals, facing the Seattle Sounders for the third time, and also going through the Eastern Conference Final against your current team, now Atlanta United. So for you, what was that run like leading up to the finals? Like, what was going through your head as you were getting set to play in the MLS Cup Finals?
It wasn't anything special, but just the materialization of a great group and a great mind that Greg Vanney is for for the game, for the idea that he had, for the playing style that he wanted us to adopt, and for how the group came together. It was a lot of a big part of the group was that group that had been together since 2015, 16, 17, 18. But also in 2019, there was a lot of newcomers like Ale Pozuelo, like Nick De Leon, like Lolo Simon. Richie, Larea. We were a bunch to come in, and I think we were welcomed in a way that we could have an immediate impact and maybe you know um, create this second great run for the club and establish a playing style that was a little different from all the big personalities that were there before, using the experience of the guys that were still there, and it was just a fantastic year because we started off it was pretty difficult. The results weren't great, but we stuck with it and we stayed true to our playing style, and our playing style and our fundamentals were what took us there because it gave us certainty. And whatever was happening, we were playing a certain way, and then we bonded as a team. And then when the playoffs came around the corner, it was just it just not clicked, but it was just an adventure that it was almost like we were on pause and we're just taking one game after the other and performing and performing and performing. And it was just, yeah, it was one of these fun runs where you feel like you play with family.
So what was it like playing with guys like Alejandro Pozuelo, and then even jumping to last season, they brought in Lorenzo Insigne, Federico Bernardeschi, Domenico Cristico, all these guys, like three of them who have seen European football, Alejandro Pozuelo, but also you mix in the local guys like Jonathan Osorio, Mark Anthony Kaye. So what has it been like playing with all these guys for Toronto FC? But also, how did this kind of blend together to make the great chemistry that you guys had?
Well, it's different because Lorenzo Insigne, Mark Anthony Kaye are new additions, and they're part of the present. Ali Pozuelo is part of the future. Myself, same thing. So it was a different group back then, and than it is now. It's true that now the focus has been on bringing back or bringing very experienced or talented squad. It's like every other club. I'm grateful for every experience, and there's always a sense of group over the individual. So I think even individuals do better when they feel they're in a strong group over having to lead or carry or exist in a group that is not as strong. So yeah, I mean, if we go back to Alejandro Pozuelo, I think he had two fantastic years in 2019 and 2020 because he felt he was at his place and he was used in the best way possible for the team and for the club. And that was fun to share that adventure and eventually lead him to winning MLS MVP in 2020. And that's a lot of pleasure because of course the individual laurels are for one individual, but he was extremely grateful and he made sure we felt it was our trophy also. He always had that way to thank you in his very own way, but his personality, and he knew he wasn't doing it on his own, and playing style and the group that we had and the bond that we had was a lot in that equation.
Absolutely. So another player that you played with, and I want to get into this because on Atlanta United now you changed your number from 16 to number 31, which is the number of one of your former teammates of Toronto FC, Tsubasa Endo. What kind of impact did that man have on your career? And what was the reason, I guess, the reason for being that you wanted to go to 31, I assume was for him.
Oh, it was 100% for him. It's Suba is one of these guys that you share a competitive environment and it's very demanding. And soccer in general, you come across a lot of people, but Suba was one of these guys that stand out, at least to me. And I know a lot of people really really care and cared for him in Toronto. A lot of guys know the impact he had on the team. He was a guy that moved from Japan and went to American college. Didn't have a blissful path in Toronto. He was in the first team, back with the second team, and back in the first team, considered most of the time a substitute at the start of the seasons. And the time I was there, he would always end up in being a starter. And he would do it in such a classy way and being such a great teammate all the time. And he would give a full effort every single day on top of his amazing abilities and not take anything for himself or want more than he was such a team player and such a fun guy to be around that yeah when I hear a guy like this is hit with medical hardship, he has acute leukemia. It hurts, and you want to be there for him, and he's back in Japan surrounded with his family, and sometimes FaceTiming him once a week is not enough. You want to do more. You want to show him support, and I've been with him every stage of the way when he would get a sense that something was wrong and waiting for diagnosis, and then went up and down and back. There was a lot of uncertainty. It was a very hard moment for him, but in that process, I just want him to feel that he's not alone, and just carrying 31, even if he was just, if he was in perfect health, just wearing it because he did is just a prime, thought. And just he's one of the best guys I've ever met in that industry. And he's family to me, to us, and to a lot of guys. I have so many good memories with him that, it's a way for me to tell him he's with me every day when I step onto the field, because I know the first thing he wants to go back to is playing soccer. So it's a way to carry him with me. And also for me, I'm not a huge I never complain all that much, but it's a good it's a good wake up call. Like, one of your closest friends would love to be on the field wherever that is. So don't complain about a single thing, and just, do it for him if you're going to be too stupid to do it for yourself.
Absolutely. So as you guys get set for your second game of this MLS season, your second game for you especially is against your former team, Toronto FC, for the first time since signing with Atlanta United. So what's going through your head as you get set for Saturday's matchup against your former club?
It's Toronto is part of my history, of my family's history, and it's 4 years I will be eternally grateful for. But I've moved on in a way that, for Saturday there's no feelings. I'll be extremely happy to see everyone there. So many people that are very close to my heart. But I'll be happy after the game with 3 points. It's a cutthroat industry. I want what's best for my club and for my team. So it's all about competition till it's over, and I get to shake hands and hug all the people that I love, and that I'm grateful that I've crossed path with.
Absolutely. So I forgot to ask you this earlier, but it could tie into now too, especially considering your current playing time. Was there ever a time in soccer or football where you just felt nervous before a game? And if so, how did you overcome it?
No, I mean, being nervous, I cherish these moments where I feel nervous, because this is where the prep that you do during the week and the commitment that you've had throughout a career kicks in. This is where you need it, and this is the certainty that you can rely on, is your commitment and your work ethic and what you do to prepare yourself. So before every game, I go get that little anxiety. It's my security. It means I'm tuned in. It means I'm focused. It means I'm ready to go. The scariest part is when I'm not, because maybe I don't care as much, or maybe I'm not ready, or I don't know what's to come, and especially in a position like goalkeeper, where you have a lot of the eyes on you when the ball gets close to the box, and the responsibility that it engages. I mean, it's what I love about the game, and anxiety and stress and is definitely part of it, but also preparation and confidence and personality and playing style is also these attributes that you can rely on when you need them the most. So it's fun balancing these emotions, and this is why I'm still playing and still competing, is because I love to feel uncomfortable.
So, and my last question for you, Quentin, before I let you go, is I always ask this: is what are some pieces of advice you can give to younger kids, younger adults who want to follow in your footsteps and play at the MLS level, or even play over in France like you did?
I love what you do, and don't compare yourself. Just know that there's a right mentality, and there's a right commitment to the sport. Respect the game, respect behave well in that ways, and just love it, because when you love it, you'll be committed. If you're committed, you'll improve. If you improve, you'll perform, and if you perform, you'll be wanted. I mean, clubs will want to have you on your team, but don't compare yourself either to what's out there, or among your teammates. Do your thing, because I think what's great about soccer is we can all have our own little identity. It's just understanding, what's the best fit for you, what's the best playing style, what's the best club, and it's being smart in those decisions. But knowing your attributes, knowing how you perform and how you can perform the most, and making sure you're as much as you can in an environment that allows this to happen. That's really important. But to start with is like be committed and especially love it, just love the game.
Absolutely. Well, Quinn, I want to thank you so much again for joining me on this episode of On the Sidelines. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this with the crazy schedule, your upcoming game on Saturday, and good luck Saturday against your former club.
Thank you. Thank you, Cameron. Take care.
You too. Guys, Quentin Westberg of Atlanta United, former Toronto FC goalkeeper. I'm Cameron Capobianco, and we'll catch you guys next time.